Hi there. Today I'm going to say a little about the race issue in the United States and around. I've watched plenty of videos about that black people are offended by some words said by white people, and the white people are banned to say certain things which black people are allowed to, and that black people often accuse white people of bearing a responsibility for something. Now, I'm sorry you got a bit of a cold, but sure enough, that's all about the United States, isn't it? So, well, I'm outside. I've been to the US only once, and I have a word for you guys. You know, it's not about raising racial hatred, suppressing someone's rights or anything. It's about that shit has no meaning. I mean, banning some people from pronouncing certain words and then allowing other people to say them, and you know, seeing every person with another skin tone as a potential hater of others is absolutely stupid. Because, you know, if you hear a professor saying something about respecting the other colored people because they had such a complicated past, and that they were, the people of a certain race were kind of disrespected by the previous generations, you know, that might sound idiotic, but a bit reasonable somewhere in Pennsylvania. But in our country, which is Russia, hello? By the way, I think KGB should have paid a lot of money to those race hatred groups and stuff, because they're such idiots that they actually create a very bad publicity for American people all throughout the country. Because in the 1960s and 1950s, we had a saying in Russia like, we might live in shitty flats in shitty, dirty towns driving shitty cars, but you know, they hang black people there in America. So look for the roots of that shit. But what I wanted to say is that if an American professor would come to us and read a lecture where we could mention such things about, you know, other races having been disrespected or whatever, you know, I would rise and say that's shit. You know why? Because I come from a family which was released from slavery in 1861, and it was released from slavery in much worse condition than American blacks, because it was usually like, you know, we abolished slavery, now you guys are ready to go free, you owe nothing to your masters, and now, you know, do that stuff of thing officially. Here it was different. Here they said, you guys are free, but if you want lands to work on, majority of people who were in slavery were peasants who were dependent on land and farming. They said, like, you can buy it from your fucking masters, and they gave credits for 15 to 20 years with, you know, not very low interest rates for people who knew nothing about it, and they were forced to take the fucking credits to pay for the fucking nobility who fucking owned them. And it was between white people, you know, you can't tell a descendant of a noble family in Russia from a peasant grandson like me, or whatever. And I should say that 95% of people whom you encounter in Russian cities are most likely from such families, where they have been all of the families have something to do with slaves, the ex-slaves, the state-owned peasants, the nobility-owned peasants, or whatever. And before that it was worse, because after the American slaves were freed, you know, the government was like, okay, we're a bit sorry guys, you know, in some states that it was a bit different, in others it was not, you know, the segregation issue, etc. But the Russian peasants, before they were released from slavery and after they were released from slavery, they were carrying the fucking country on their limbs, they alone. The nobility was freed from taxes. The clergy was freed from taxes. And guess who was paying? Exactly. Before they were freed, peasants were taxed. After they were freed, they were taxed again. The merchants, the peasants, and some craftsmen who were few and far between. These people were paying taxes. For people with different skin color, the empire had a fascinating thing. When they occupied a territory, some there to the southeast, what would they do? They free the local population of any taxes. They would invite the elites to capitals, shower them with gold and favors, relieving the local population of military service, taxation, and whatever else, so that they would become comfortable in the Russian Empire. Who paid? Exactly, the Russian peasants. So please bear in mind that when you are talking about race issue, when you blame people with different skin colors for a responsibility to other people of skin colors, pay attention to that. It has nothing to do with race, because it has been repeated in all parts of the world, and it has always been different. Because here, you know, what they did in 1917, they fucking killed most of the nobles, the clergy, and others. Why? Because they fucking hated them. Because it was always like that. The peasants live in poverty, have no rights, have all the responsibilities. They supplied men to the army, they supplied taxes, food, and all this shit. Well, the nobles, by the mid-19th century, had no obligations. They were free to either serve or not serve. They were freed from taxes for some achievements. They had huge estates, and they were virtually free to do anything. And they owned people. So after the people were freed, after the regime collapsed, the first thing people did was go to the closest nobleman's house, fucking burn it, and hang the owner. And in some respect this was just, and this is what the Bolshevik Revolution was actually about. It destroyed a very unjust society, creating another one which was actually a bit more just. So, thank you, and see my next video.